My name is Lisa Shea, and when I started watching Stranger Things for the very first time, I realized fairly quickly that this movie was set exactly when I was a teen, and I used to play D&D, and this was like my actual childhood, without the killer monsters and everything else going on in it. So I definitely wanted to do a recap and look for things in particular that I remember from being a teen in this exact time frame. So we start out knowing this is November 6th, 1983. And in November 6th, 1983, I was a sophomore in high school. And I was 14 because I started a year early. So I was the same age as the sister character in this. And my best friend, who also played D&D with me, had a younger brother who was the same age as the boys in the story. So I both know the way that the boys were at the time, and I know how we were when we were playing D&D. So it was really neat to watch this as an adult and relate to the older people, but also to be able to relate to the kids because the scenery and everything else, the way the walls looked and the ashtrays and everything else was exactly what I remember from growing up. So we're going to take a look at this from that point of view. We start out with the scared Department of Energy guy. We know that he's going to be attacked by someone, and that sets the scene that this is a horror, kind of scary type of movie, but he's really not that important right now. We cut over to the four main characters, who are the four boys here, and they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and everything about this scene is just so cool to me. So let me pause for a second. The actual D&D books that I still have on my shelf, which I got when I was in middle school. So I've been playing with these for many, many years, and it is so cool to watch people in my time period when I was playing with this using the same books and the same information and getting so involved in their D&D campaign. But it's even more than that in terms of the fun of the scene. The thick textured carpet, the type of lights that they have in here, the fact that it's down in someone's basement, which is where we did a lot of our playing, and the kinds of wallpaper and paneling and everything else and the clothes that we're wearing. They really did a great job in this, making everything accurate to give that feel of what it was like to be playing back then. Some people sitting in random chairs, someone sitting on a little ottoman thing. This is the way D&D campaigns were, and the parents were just happy to have us out of the way, but also down doing something friendly and reasonably wholesome. So this show dumps a bunch of character to you all at once, but look at this great Tupperware and the old colors that they used to have, even the little magnets on the fridge, the way that the TV in here is being used with little rabbit ears. I'm surprised there isn't aluminum foil on there. And then this character is the one that I am the age of. So it would be such a special treat to have your own phone in your room, and you have to know this is like a party line. Anyone in the house could pick up their phone and hear what you were talking about, so this was not private at all. So then the boys are biking home, and we definitely biked everywhere, but we did not have lights. Lights would have been a special thing. I imagine they did it for the TV purposes, so you could keep track of where they were. But we just rode around with lightless bikes everywhere, and no helmets. I mean, that's just the way it was. And then the rotary dial phones that were always wired with these little coily wires that you would wrap around your fingers and that you would pull and release, and they'd get all coiled up in themselves. And poof, he's gone. So we knew that he was going to disappear because of the title. But they had the old style TVs that were big and bulky, the heavy ashtrays that were everywhere. Everyone had those things in brown and green. And then these old couches, which you can tell were not always that comfortable. We get to meet Will's brother and mother. I tell you, there are tons of characters. But I want to comment that I had a pacer which looked a lot like that green thing, but it had a big rounder back. So even the cars in here are fun. And all of these wallpapers with the flowers upon flowers and flowered couches up against flowered wallpapers. People back then really liked that kind of chaos. So this is just what high school was like. People riding around on their bikes, the big yellow school buses, people in these kinds of clothes. So this is all very familiar to me. Yep, and now we're introducing even more characters. There's always bullies in these schools. It's just the way that young life is. And then in high school, this was how it was too. People would be in different cliques and they'd be carrying their notebooks around with them. We all had lockers that we could lock and unlock, but the teachers, of course, could all get into. And we learned that the older sister has a boyfriend, so now there's even more characters. They really do dump quite a lot at you all at once in this first episode. The cop has like helpers and a secretary, and we've got all sorts of new characters to keep track of. So it's time to make a family tree and keep track of who is who. Will's mom comes in and reports that her son is missing. So now the police are involved in tracking down where Will vanished to. And now we get some context back at the Department of Energy. It turns out there's some sort of a strange creature growth thing, and that the government, of course, is looking into it but keeping it secret from all the locals, because that's just what the government does. And let's have some brand new characters. So now we've got a little girl who's got her head shaved, and a diner owner who is concerned about her and decides he's going to feed her and take care of her. So all of this is looking good. And we also learned that the four boys are interested in science, which, we could have assumed from the D&D side of thing, and that they have a teacher helping them. The cops ask the boys if they know where their friend is, and the boys, of course, have no idea. The mom and Will's older brother are out hunting for him in the places he tended to hang out. The diner guy is really nice and is trying to get some help for the poor girl that's starving. The police find Will's bike and are trying to track down where he might be. Back to the house, looking for Will and bringing back the bike, but they can't find him anywhere. In the typical dinner, everyone would sit at the table. I love the wicker backs of the chairs. We had some of those. The little wooden holder for the napkins. But this is definitely a science kid thing. I definitely did not have massive walkie-talkies like this to call my friends. You'd have to call them on an actual phone and hope that no one else in their household was using their phone, because otherwise you'd just get a busy signal. I know several of my high school friends who had boyfriends or girlfriends climbing in windows and climbing out of windows. Now, unfortunately, bad guys were listening in when the diner guy called in for help, and they came in and killed him, and now they want to get their hands on the little girl, but luckily she has some special skills and is able to escape. So Nancy is studying with flashcards, which are index cards with notes on them. This is exactly how we used to study for things. And then Will's mom gets a call, which is just mostly static, and she can't hear it, and she gets electrocuted by it. So this continues the electricity theme of this. So then we have Mike, Dustin, and Lucas out in the woods looking for their friend. They don't find him, but they do find the girl that has the shaved head that was just running away from the murder scene. So that's a recap of the first episode. It was very well done in terms of all of the 80s references and the wallpapers and the carpets and the stuff on the tables and everything else. And the D&D campaign was great. I enjoyed all of those different details and think they did a great job. If anything, they dumped a ton of characters on people all at once and make you try to remember all the different relationships between them. So you really have to go back and watch it a couple times, I think, to be able to get a handle on who the characters are, how they relate to each other. And I love even like the old cards that they have in here. This is my actual pacer that I had. It was so it'd be 2 years past this scene, because this was when it was 14 and I got this when I was 16. It was a hand-me-down from my dad. You can see the little Dark Side of the Moon stickers and other stuff in there. So I greatly enjoyed the car references, everything. They did a great job with everything. So let's go on to episode 2 and see what they've got in episode 2 for me.